Here we have Jessica Rivera with Jessica Rivera Interiors, right?
Yes.
She stages most of our homes and does an amazing job. So this is a service that a lot of times we cover for the sellers, and her work has been like pretty spot on. So right now we're in an empty home, as you can see, and it looks good, but I'm excited to show the after on what it will look like after. So can you kind of walk us through your process and how you make the magic happen?
Yes. It's a coveted secret, but I will share some small ingredients to what that potion looks like. I think the biggest thing to consider when you are getting your home ready to list is it really is like a job interview for your house. And in the same way that you would want to present yourself in a very professional and polished way in a job interview, that's what staging is going to do for your house. And so essentially how that process looks like and what that starts with is I like to be able to come to the house to get an idea of what the style of the home is. I like to get pictures and measurements to be able to bring in not only the right size and scale of furniture, but I just also want to be very mindful of the aesthetic that we're cultivating in the house to make sure that everything feels, again, really cohesive and polished. So a lot of times when I come in, I'll start, again, just grabbing pictures and measurements. And I love to be able to just walk through the house to get a sense of, what are the colors in the house? You can see in this house, off the bat, we've got a lot of grays and kind of some creams and some dark wood, and it's got some fantastic natural light. And so when I'm looking at the space in the room, I'm thinking, okay, what is it that I want to really showcase? What do I want to emphasize? And how am I going to pull all of this together? So views are stunning for sure. So that already has me keyed into, okay, what is the best layout for this space going to be so that we can really showcase all the grandeur of the space. I'm also thinking about, again, kind of like, okay, what are the shades that I need to pull together to make everything look really cohesive and, again, just showcase it in the best possible way for that big interview that's coming up. Who's gonna, inhabit this beautiful house?
So, and what are the main areas you focus on? Because like this is a big house, there's 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
We can't stage every room.
Right.
What are the key areas that you normally focus on?
Yeah, that's a great point to speak to, because I think a lot of times with staging, you don't need to stage as much as you think that you need to. The only caveat being maybe some of the higher end listings, then we typically stage more rooms. Mm-hmm. But for just your regular average listing, I think it's important to really highlight just kind of the main seating areas. So a living room, the dining room, kitchen area, and a primary bedroom. Those are typically the top 3 rooms that people are really focused on in terms of making their home buying decisions.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then with technology nowadays, we can digitally stage the rest of the rooms. Like in this house, we're gonna digitally stage the other bedrooms to make them look like they have furniture, although they don't. And it looks real. But the staging that you do, it looks really good on pictures and pictures.
Yeah.
But then also when they come into the house,
Yeah.
that we didn't trick them, right? And it feels good.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic point to speak to, because I do think that is really important. And I really appreciate the hybrid that Mountain Buff does with interspersing kind of some actual staging, and then in some of the other rooms, just kind of some virtual or digital staging, because I think it is beneficial to be able to showcase the possibilities. I mean, that's really kind of the cornerstone of staging, is I want somebody to walk in, and for me, and I think for most people, home is a feeling. And so when you walk in, and yes, you may have seen something, online that showcases the possibilities, but I think, there's part of this human experience that we have where we attach to things, and so when you come into a home and you're able to really see and maybe even go sit on a sofa, or sit at a dining table, you're pausing and you're thinking about yourself in this space, which I think is a really powerful aspect of home buying, because that for the majority of us, it's a very emotional experience.
Right.
So I think it is really important to be able to have some actual furniture for people to step into, to be able to see the what that would actually look like, and beyond a look, what does that feel like? That's important.
And like this house, there's a number of updates the sellers could do. Like it could use some paint, They could definitely replace the countertops
Sure.
that are pink.
Yeah.
But like as far as like what's going to get them the highest ROI,
Yeah.
I think we would start out with staging, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And they'll see the best returns with that. And that's where hiring a good brokerage and company that's going to help you get that process dialed in and taken care of. Because these guys were trying to sell the house before, but it just got so daunting and all the agents calling them and unqualified buyers walking through. So I'm excited to be able to show like the before and afters of this product and show you kind of our process along the way. So this house is empty. We're obviously just staging, like you said, the living room, the dining room, and the master. But say there's a house and people are living there. What do you do in that situation where they have all their furniture in there? What does that look like?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And we've actually done that before. We just did that with a beautiful listing that you have up in
Taylor.
In Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice to be able to have a lot of different options when it comes to staging.
Yeah.
And so one of the other options that we can do is just kind of bring in, I think you like to call it the fluff.
Yeah,
right? Like
fluff.
the rugs, the pillows, a little bit of artwork. And so again, I think it's just about refining a product, you know, and really putting the polish on so that it really feels and looks very cohesive.
Yeah.
We get to capture some beautiful pictures, which again, you know, they respond to, and when you see something beautiful, you know, you want to go see it in person. You want to see
Right.
more of it.
Right.
So yeah, there's lots of different options when it comes to, it doesn't always have to be a vacant listing to be able to benefit from some staging.
Because most homes, and I tell sellers this all the time, a staged home, like a home you're getting ready to sell, is not a home that you're going to be all cozy living in.
Right.
So it's a different way that you lay out your home and showcase it.
It is.
And so maybe can you talk to that a little bit? And what are the top like 3 to 5 things that you commonly recommend sellers do before getting ready to sell their home if they're living there?
For sure. I think the 3 Ds are always a good one: the depersonalize, declutter, and deep clean. Those go such a long way.
Right.
Like you just spoke to, and I always kind of chuckle a little bit when I have the opportunity to interface with your clients, because the idea is you are living in the house, but you don't want it to actually look like you're living in the house.
Right,
And
yeah.
so it's a little bit of this tightrope to walk.
Uh-huh.
And I also think it has a lot of benefits, right? So when you start to, you know, depersonalize, I think it kind of starts with, you're kind of starting to detach from your home, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not yours anymore. You're really taking the personal items out of it and you're getting ready to share that with somebody else. So that's why I think it's so important to be able to kind of just depersonalize. We don't want people to kind of get hung up on your family pictures, even though they're probably beautiful and amazing. But I think it starts to be kind of distracting. And when people see your family in there, it's hard for them to picture their family in there. And also with the decluttering process, I think really you're just expediting what the moving process is going to look like. I always tell people you're either going to do it now or you're going to do it later.
Right.
So you might as well just step into, you know, kind of taking the small bites, right? To make the process much more manageable. And I think because it's a very inherently stressful process. So it's nice to be able to, you know, maybe take a room at a time and just start packing stuff so that you're ahead of the game and not hitting the panic button towards the end with all the stuff that you have to do.
Which so many people do. It's like burning the candle at both ends.
Right.
Like the last few days, they're trying to pack and get ready and sign the closing documents,
yeah.
switch utilities, and
Yeah, I mean, you know, divorce, death, and moving. I mean, top 3 most stressful life events. So
Yeah.
if you can be proactive in that process, I think it just ends up being really beneficial.
yeah. So if you're a seller, we can, and you're thinking about selling, we can definitely come through, have Jessica come through, and we can just do an initial consult. Maybe you need more furniture, maybe you don't, but oftentimes if you're living there, we can just bring in the fluff, use the bigger items that you have, your couches, sofas, beds,
Yeah.
and just do new pillows and bedding and some things, and it makes a big difference for the pictures. Even if you had like a professional interior decorator when you first moved into the house, like their job was to make you comfortable, cozy, and love your house,
Right.
and not necessarily sell it. So that's where it's handy to have somebody like Jessica that can come through and give you like an exact game plan and strategy to really maximize and make your house sell quickly and for the most money as possible, and with a seamless process. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think The biggest thing with staging is we are priming people to see possibilities. And that is the most important thing that we can do. As you had kind of mentioned before, you know, there are some different updates that they could have done in this house, but I think staging gets to be kind of the most bang for your buck, because instead of people walking through an empty house nitpicking and looking at all the flaws or the potential reasons not to attach to the home, we've completely changed that experience so that now we're showcasing what the possibilities could be. And I think it's a completely different mindset to be able to walk into a house and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, I could see Thanksgiving dinners here with our, you know, our parents, or, you know, there's a swing set in the backyard and, you know, all the kids coming over to play.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad we did this. This is going to be a cool before and after, because we're going to capture the before, let you do your magic, and then we'll show the after. So stay tuned, guys.